Hi there, and welcome back to Clarkenomics. In this video, we're going to talk a little bit about the value of money. In the previous video, we talked about what money is used for, good characteristics of money, and different types of money. But in this video, we're going to expand upon the idea of fiat money and what gives fiat money its actual value. So here we go. The key thing that gives fiat money its value is acceptability, right? The idea that you can use that money as a medium of exchange to purchase things. If we wanted to put this nice and succinctly, we could just say, what gives fiat money its value? Purchasing power. What that means is that if your money buys more stuff, well, then that money must be more valuable, right? It gets you more stuff. That money has value. If your money can't buy you as much stuff, well, then we're going to say it has less value. So money that buys less stuff is less valuable. So purchasing power is the name of the game. If your money's good, it's going to get you a lot. If your money's not so good, it's not going to get you very much stuff. Now, what is it that tells you the purchasing power of your money, right? What is it that tells you how much stuff our money will buy? Well, how do we express the value of things? Well, we use these things called prices. It's all about prices. So prices tell us how much of our money we're going to need to buy something. They tell us how valuable our money actually is. So let's look at an example. This is kind of a tough concept sometimes to wrap your head around. Let's ask a question like this. Is a dollar always worth a dollar? And in the background there, I've got one of my favorite fast food items personally, the McDonald's Quarter Pounder. So this burger, which is a quarter pound of beef before cooking, bun, some cheese, pickles, onions, and ketchup, sold in all 50 states, right? Anywhere in the United States of America you go, you're going to get a quarter pounder, and it's the same sesame seeds from top to bottom in every single place. And for that reason, it's a really good way to see how prices vary across the United States because the quarter pounder is the same in every single state. So if you want to see how the value of money differs from state to state, you can look at a good like this that's sold everywhere. There's a similar index put out by a magazine called The Economist called the Big Mac Index because Big Macs are sold around the world, and that's a good way to see how valuable money is around the world. But we're going to stay within the United States for now. So here's some data that I pulled. In Delaware, where I live, a quarter pounder with cheese costs $4.40. That's the most accurate pricing stuff I could find. In Alabama, a quarter pounder with cheese costs $3.79. Now, what we're going to do here, as I alluded to earlier, is we're going to assume that the price of this burger is more or less representative of all the prices in the state, right? So we're going to kind of just take this one price and use it to make an assumption about the price level overall of things in Delaware and the price level overall of things in Alabama. So, my question to you to see if you understand the value of money a little bit here is, in which state is a dollar more valuable? And the, immediate answer might be like, well, a dollar is a dollar. A dollar's worth a dollar everywhere. But look at the quarter pounder prices. They're different. Even though it's the exact same burger and the exact same George Washington US dollar, they're different prices. So the question is, in which state is a dollar more valuable? And the answer, if you're ready for it, is Alabama. So good job if you got that right, but here comes the explanation if you didn't. The reason why the dollar is more valuable in Alabama is because you don't need as much money to get the exact same thing. Where is a dollar more powerful? Well, it's more powerful in Alabama because you only need $3.79 to get a quarter pounder in Alabama, but you need $4.4 to get that same exact sandwich in Delaware. So a dollar goes much further in Alabama. It's much more powerful in Alabama, where prices are lower overall than in Delaware. If I had put like a state like New York or California, the price would be even higher, meaning that a dollar is less valuable. And here's just kind of an overview of how this works. The takeaway is higher prices mean less purchasing power. You need more dollars, right? If the prices are higher, that means you need more dollars to get the same thing, meaning that the money has less value. So think high prices, money has less value. On the flip side, low prices mean more purchasing power. You don't need as many dollars to get the same thing if prices are low. So money has more value. So again, if you live in a state like Delaware or Alabama, and you go to a big city, right, or a state where the purchasing power is a little bit lower, like New York, California, or any big city, you might notice prices are much higher in those types of places. And what that means is your money, even though it's the same money you brought with you from wherever you live, doesn't go as far in those places. Prices are higher, which means your purchasing power, unfortunately, is lesser. Now, if you live in a big city or you live in like a New York or a California and you travel to another state where prices are lower, you're going to feel much wealthier because your money, same money you brought with you, is going to have much greater purchasing power. So those are disparities in prices, what we sometimes refer to as price differentials. So to wrap up our discussion about the value of money here, we want to just explain the why a little bit, right? So why were the prices for quarter pounders different in each state? And I put the information here. There's a quarter pounder, costs $4.40 in the great state of Delaware. There's our flag on the outline of the state. And in Alabama, down south, you've got the same exact burger for $3.79. So why were they different? Well, the answer is these are separate markets, right? Anytime you've got a market, you've got a supply curve and you've got a demand curve. And they're different. In Alabama, the supply and demand are different than they are in Delaware for quarter pounders. And that's going to result in a different market equilibrium price in each of those markets. And the key thing here that keeps those prices different from each other is that quarter pounders cannot be transported from place to place and resold in different markets. In other words, I couldn't go to McDonald's in Delaware. Sorry, I couldn't go to Alabama, buy a quarter pounder in Alabama, and drive to Delaware and resell it, right? If I could, that would change the game, right? So, like, what if the markets were not isolated? Now, the reason you can't do that with burgers is because, one, they're perishable, they go bad, they're not a good store of value in terms of being a commodity. But then, two, you can't just go resell a quarter pounder that you bought, right? That would never buy a quarter pounder from somebody off the street. That's a terrible idea. But let's imagine that, you could do these things. You could buy a quarter pounder or a widget or some other product in one place and take it to another market and sell it there, right? This would be an opportunity for something that we call arbitrage. Arbitrage is just that. Arbitrage is the act of buying something in one market for a low price and selling it in a different market for a higher price to make some money. So imagine this with burgers here, right? Let's say I bought a quarter pounder in Alabama for $3.79. I would then drive it to Delaware and sell it for more than $3.79. I could probably sell it for up to $4.40, right? Maybe a little less. But that would allow me to make money. I'm buying something at a low price and then reselling it at a higher price to somebody else. That's what arbitrage is. Now, imagine that people caught on to this, right? And more people from Alabama started to buy quarter pounders with the intent of arbitrage, of reselling them. Well, that would shift the demand curve for quarter pounders in Alabama to the right, which would make the market equilibrium price for quarter pounders in Alabama increase. At the same time, you have all these Alabama quarter pounders flooding the market in Delaware, causing the supply curve for quarter pounders in Delaware to shift to the right, making the market equilibrium price of a quarter pounder in Delaware decrease. So if it was possible, to move these things from market to market, to engage in arbitrage opportunities, you would see the price in Alabama rise and the price in Delaware fall. And what would happen eventually to the prices in these markets is that the prices of a quarter pounder would converge. They would become the same somewhere in the middle. If we could perfectly move these things from market to market, there would be no barrier between these markets, and the same supply and demand curves would apply, and you would just have one universal price of a quarter pounder, right? And this is a good example of why arbitrage makes markets function more competitively, more efficiently. You'd have more buyers in the market, more sellers in the market, and that translates to a more efficient, competitive market. And just to take it one step further, the supply and the demand curves for a quarter pounder would both become more elastic, right? Supply could more easily change if there were more places to get quarter pounders from, And demand would be more elastic too, because there would be more substitutes in a given market. So essentially, these are some of the effects of breaking down barriers between markets. And this is the direction you've seen the world going in, right? If 50, 100 years ago, if you wanted something, you almost always bought it locally, right? There was a local market for just about everything because goods weren't really transported over great distances. But as technology developed in transportation, and now we have, a lot of e-commerce, Amazon, those markets are converging, meaning I can buy something and get it shipped to me from very far away, and prices are becoming more similar for more people across the country, whereas they used to exist in isolated markets. So that's how the value of money varies, why the value of money varies, and hopefully that sets us up really well for what we're about to do. Thanks for watching.